Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to the channel. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, which is kind of appropriate for what we're going to talk about in today's video. And we're going to be going over the differences between botulism and food poisoning. One thing about me is that I like to push the envelope a little bit when it comes to eating food. A lot of people are worried about best by dates and getting food poisoning or getting salmonella. A lot of people are apprehensive about eating foods that are past the best by date and also buy their home cooked food or home canned foods because they're just so afraid of getting sick. And I find that a real shame because having home cooked food is the best flavor you could possibly get, and it just really helps you learn all about cooking. So I'm here to kind of talk about some myths versus some truths and just give some overall information on how botulism and food poisoning works. Before we get too far in the video though, please make sure to give me a like, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Every like, comment, share really helps support me and my family. Thank you so much, guys. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is botulism. A lot of people are worried about home canned foods, about dented cans, and food that's past the best by date. There is the fear of botulism in a lot of people. And I don't think people really realize how rare botulism is. Yes, it can be a serious disease. However, it does not happen very often. So I think people are over worried about it, my opinion. So I went online and I found some information about botulism that I thought you would like to know. First of all, what exactly is botulism? It's a rare but serious illness caused by a toxin that attacks the body's nervous system. So that means that it shuts down your breathing. The bacteria in botulism is found in several places, but it's rare for them to make people sick. This bacteria forms spores, which acts like a protective coating. Spores help the bacteria survive even in extreme conditions. The spores usually do not cause people to be sick, even if consumed. But under certain circumstances, these spores can grow and make one of the most lethal toxins. Here's some of the conditions in which this toxin can form. 1, low oxygen or no oxygen environment. 2, low acid. 3, low sugar. 4, low salt. 5, certain temperature range. And 6, a certain amount of water. For example, improperly home canned food, fermented food, or preserved food can provide the conditions for spores to grow. When people eat these foods, they can become seriously ill or even die. Game over. If they don't get proper medical treatment quickly. Now, that sounds pretty intense, right? And that's good enough. Like, I could die if I eat botulism. Why would I risk it? Let me tell you a little more about it. I just wanted to let you know the statistics on how many cases of botulism happened in 2023. And it was 110 cases in the United States. And approximately 70% of those are infant botulism, which isn't even related to home canning. In the United States, over the last 18 years, only 43 cases of botulism has been reported. Now, unfortunately, you can't really tell if botulism is in an item. You cannot see, smell, or taste botulism, and even just a little bit of it can make you sick. But some common ways to tell if your food is bad is if you open it and it has a bad taste, if it's puffed up, that means that the air has produced in it, or if the food inside is discolored, moldy, or smells bad. There's 5 types of botulism, which is the infant botulism, which is the most common, wound botulism, atronic botulism, and then adult intestinal botulism, which is the most uncommon. So when people say botulism, most of the cases do with infants that have a condition that has nothing to even do with home canned or dented commercial canned goods. Now you might want to know which food that you home can could be the most susceptible to botulism. So if you're worried about it, these are the home canned goods that you want to stay away from. Low acid vegetables such as green beans, corn, beets, and peas, which may have picked up C. botulism spores from the soil. Those are the most that are at risk. So basically, it's important to be aware of it, to know that it's out there, that it can be dangerous and deadly, but also I feel like the fear of it is just over exaggerated, and it's a lot rarer than I think people realize. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of nonchalant about botulism and worried about getting it. I have tried a lot of different types of foods in my lifetime, and I'm comfortable in being able to recognize when an item may be contaminated based on the dent. But with home canned foods, as long as you follow the USDA guidelines on how to properly can food, I feel like you're going to be okay and there's not much to worry about. Now, a lot of people confuse botulism with food poisoning, so let's go over a little bit of food poisoning and what exactly that is and how to prevent it. All right, so let's go over exactly detail for detail what food poisoning is. It's an illness caused by food contaminated with bacteria, viruses, parasites, or toxins. Food poisoning symptoms may include cramping, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. Most food poisonings are mild and resolves without treatment. Ensuring adequate hydration is the key to get better. So the most common ways to get food poisoning is that it spreads through contaminated food or water, usually self-treatable, usually self-diagnosable. It's usually short-term, within a couple of days or weeks, but it can show signs of starting anywhere from 6 to 16 hours after ingesting the contaminated food. Now, one thing I learned in the culinary industry is having the temperature danger zone. This is a time between 40 and 140 degrees that bacteria and toxins grows the most. So you have to cool foods properly to keep them out of that temperature danger zone. There are several things that you can do to prevent the spread of food poisoning. And the first one is to clean. Wash your hands. Make sure that your surface is clean and sanitized before you start everything. You always want to wash your hands after handling uncooked meat. Wash your utensils, cutting boards, and prep area with hot soapy water. You want to rinse fresh fruits and vegetables under running water. And then step number 2 to prevent food poisoning is to separate. Cross-contamination. Cross-contamination is a big thing in the kitchen industry. Raw meat, chicken, and other poultry, seafood, and eggs can spread germs to ready-to-eat food unless you keep them separate. When grocery shopping, keep raw meat, poultry, seafood, and their juices away from other food. Keep raw or marinating meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs separate from all their foods in the refrigerator. Store raw meat, poultry, and seafood in sealed containers or wrap them securely so the juices don't leak onto other food. I also like to store all food on the bottom shelf, so that way if it drips, it's not dripping down a shelf onto other food. Use one cutting board or plate for raw meat, poultry, and seafood, and a separate cutting board, or wash your cutting board really well for produce, bread, and other foods that are ready to eat. Raw chicken is ready to cook and does not need to be rinsed first. Washing these foods can spread germs to other foods, the sink, and the counter, and make you sick. If you choose to wash chicken, please do it as safely as possible. I don't think you realize when you're washing how chicken can spread. So it is recommended to not wash any of your meats. I don't know if you knew that, but that is a big part of cross-contamination, is not washing chicken before you cook it. And then number 3 is you want to cook food to the right temperature. Food is safely cooked when the temperature gets high enough to kill germs that can make you sick. The only way to tell if a food is safely cooked is using a food thermometer. You can't tell if food is safely cooked by checking the color and texture. As you start cooking more often, you get more comfortable on realizing when chicken is done. One thing I like to do is when you first learn and you take its temperature, poke it, like feel the texture of it, and then that way you'll learn what it feels like as it gets done. That's what I do. Whole cuts of beef, veal, lamb, and pork, including fresh ham, should be cooked to 145 degrees and then let it rest. So it'll cook a little higher as it rests. Fish needs to be cooked to 145 as well. Ground meats such as pork and beef need to be cooked to 160. And then all poultry, including chicken and turkey, need to be cooked to 165. And then if you're reheating food, that needs to be cooked to at least 165 as well. And then tip number 4 on how to prevent food poisoning is to chill your food properly. Like I said, the temperature danger zone is from 40 to 140, so it's important that you're cooling your food fast enough that it doesn't stay in that temperature danger zone for long. You want to keep your refrigerator at 40 degrees or below, your freezer at 0 or below. This is Fahrenheit. Package warm or hot foods in several shallow containers, and then you want to refrigerate. It is okay to put small portions of hot food in the refrigerator because they will chill faster, but you want them to have a flat layer. You don't want like thick, a big container of soup, because the food in the middle is what's going to be in the temperature danger zone for the longest. You want to refrigerate perishable foods such as meat, seafood, dairy, cut fruit, some vegetables, and cooked leftovers within 2 hours of having them out. If food is exposed to temperatures above 90 degrees, like a hot car or a picnic, refrigerate within 1 hour. Thaw frozen food in the refrigerator or in cold water or in the microwave. Never thaw food on the counter because bacteria multiply quickly in parts of food that reach room temperature. So you always want to have the proper thawing technique, which is overnight in the fridge, have it under cold running water, or use your thaw button on your microwave. Well, there's a little information on botulism and food poisoning and kind of the difference in between them. Please leave in the comments anything that I might have missed, anything that you would like to mention. I love hearing from you guys as well. I hope this gives you the confidence to get in there, get in the kitchen, and start cooking. Also, start preserving. Like I said, it's important to be aware of what could happen, how to prevent it, but that shouldn't scare you and stop you from going and learning how to do this for yourself. Well guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time on Mama Bears.